Time for an update on the ongoing battle between the FBI and Apple. We've been talking about this a lot on Outside Source, but if you haven't seen the story, the FBI wants Apple to help it to access the data on a phone that belonged to one of the attackers in those San Bernardino attacks in December. 14 people were killed in those attacks. Now, Bill Gates has been commenting on the case. He told the Financial Times this. This is a specific case where the government is asking for access to information. They're not asking for some general thing, they are asking for a particular case. But he did say later that he doesn't mean by that he's backing the FBI in this particular instance. Let's speak to Michelle Fleury about this live from New York. In fact, we talked about it last night. It's feeling more and more like this is a lightning rod for a far greater issue in the US.
Well, it depends on which side you sit. Some people are characterising this as a case of security versus privacy. Others are saying, no, this is a case of security versus surveillance. Bill Gates was trying to be backed, if you like, into one particular sort of position that he supported the FBI. He came out to say, no, what I was trying to express was a more nuanced view, which is that there are instances where authorities should be able to get hold of information, no different than, for example, in the past where law enforcement might ask for access to your bank records or to phone information. But he was saying, at the same time, it shouldn't be some sort of blanket agreement. It's taking a rather different view than, say, some of his peers in Silicon Valley who've gone for a more blanket support of Apple.
Now, you don't have to look hard to find evidence this is playing out in the court of public opinion, but I am curious to know, once we've heard everyone having their say on this, actually that's got nothing to do with it. How is this actually thrashed out, whether Apple has to cooperate or not?
Well, I mean, there is a legal procedure in place, but there is certainly no doubt that the PR side of this is very significant. If you look at the Justice Department, Apple's preference would have been to try and resolve this whole issue behind closed doors in court with lawyers. The Justice Department chose to, or the FBI chose to make this a public matter, to force Apple's hand, if you like, in the public domain. And there are signs potentially, I guess, at least in public court of opinion, that it's working. A Pew survey, you and I talked about this yesterday, suggested that most Americans side with the FBI. The latest thing we've heard is that the Justice Department is trying to get victims' family members to support them in their efforts. So this will continue to play out alongside the legal proceedings. At the same time, supporters of Apple are actually going to be protesting outside some of their stores, both in the United States and in other parts of the world. Certainly here in New York, I think that's scheduled to happen in about an hour from now.
All right, well, watch out for that. Amazing how this story is growing and growing and the amount of interest it's gathering. Thank you very much indeed, Michelle. We perhaps will talk about that again later on in the week.